shine brightly in Barcelona. 4 years later, in front of a home crowd in Atlanta, another collection of the game's best carried the torch and struck gold once again. Now it's time for the next generation of stars to step on to the international stage. Led by NBA Finals MVP Tim Duncan, this young group's first real test comes today against Argentina. A must-win situation in their one and only chance to assure a spot in Sydney.
NBC Sports presents the 1999 Olympic Qualifying Tournament of the Americas.
A gorgeous day in beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico, with the United States looking to go undefeated in this tournament. Today, they'll play at the Roberto Clemente Coliseum semifinal matchup. And this afternoon's opponent is Argentina. The reason the United States even qualifying is because what happened last summer. The NBA lockout, therefore the NBA players couldn't go on. So Rudy Tomjanovich had a collection of CBA players and college players. And although they were put together last minute, they performed admirably, but just fell short, losing at the buzzer in the semifinals to Russia, getting the bronze medal and thus not an automatic berth to Sydney. Other teams are already in, including the host country, Australia. Yugoslavia won that world championship, and 5 teams from the European zone have already qualified. The spot's still open to fill the 12-team field, 2 from this tournament, 1 from Africa, 1 from Asia, and 1 from Oceania. And good afternoon, everyone. Along with Doug Collins, I'm Mike Breen. The USA has dominated this tournament. They're a perfect 8-0. And their last game, maybe their best, right here at this Coliseum. A raucous Puerto Rican crowd watching the USA play Puerto Rico, and they annihilated them. Played brilliantly, using their #1 formula for success.
Well, Mike, the formula has been speed, quickness, size, and pressure defense. Led by Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, and Kevin Garnett. They've gotten out and forced turnovers, jumped on these teams early, and turnovers lead to layups. Tim Duncan averaging close to a double-double. But it's really the energy of Garnett, Payton, and Jason Kidd that has been the difference. Once again, here is Gary Payton, the leading scorer, laying the ball in the basket. And then the guy with the oohs and the ahs and the alley-oops has been Kevin Garnett. And with these turnovers, it's led to great starts for the United States. They've dispirited teams early. Argentina stayed around a little bit. Brazil only 4 turnovers in the first half. But you can see what the United States have done. Argentina today must take care of the ball, Mike.
In that first game against the U.S. a week ago today, again, they started well but lost by 31. Argentina since then has won 5 in a row. Some very big games to even make it to the semifinals. What can you expect from them today?
Well, when I spoke to Larry Brown, the coach of the United States, he said they're a very, very well-coached team, and they're a very good offensive team. And when you look at the numbers, they support that. 85 points a game. They shoot the ball very well, 48% from the three-point line, but they're undersized. 6'9", their biggest player. They're a poor rebounding team, and they do not defend well. So that spells a lot of problems for Argentina today, Mike.
This team, or this tournament, started with 10 teams. Only 2 will qualify for the Olympics. The other 8 will not go to Sydney. Larry Brown and his team ready for their first real crucial test. Tim Duncan, the starting lineups and the opening tip-off when we return.
I got a new qualifying tournament of the Americas is brought to you by Coors Light, who reminds you the 3 most important words are, hey, beer man. By Gillette Right Guard Stick and Clear Gel. By Hyundai. Every Hyundai is backed by America's best warranty with 10 years powertrain coverage. And by Best Buy. Now that's a great idea.
It has been a grueling schedule in a less than grueling place to be, that's for sure, for Team USA. As this is their 9th game in 10 days. Their starting lineups for Argentina, the 2 players really to keep a good eye on. Juan Espiel, their excellent 3-point shooter, and Hugo Sconacini, their other leading scorer. Those 2 players, part of the excellent 3-point shooting prowess of Argentina. For the United States, of course, Jason Kidd and Gary Payton at the guards, Tim Duncan, and then Kevin Garnett and Allen Houston. That Payton-Kidd combination has been very, very strong for the United States. And right now, we're pleased to be joined today by sideline reporter Craig Sager.
Well, this is the one and only chance to qualify for the Olympics with me, Coach Larry Brown. Coach, how much thought have you given, remote that it might be, that you could lose this game today and not qualify for the Olympics?
You always think about that. Just want our guys to play hard and have some fun. You know, We had to win 8 in a row to get here. So this is like the NCAAs, one and done. We all experienced that before.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck. Let's go back now to Mike.
Well, Doug, he says you always think about that. The coach always thinks about that. These guys aren't thinking about that.
No question. The United States knows there's the superior team, and they're looking forward to winning today and tomorrow, getting the gold medal, getting home, and getting a little relaxation. A lot of these guys jumped right out of the finals. You're talking about Allen Houston and Tim Duncan had about 10 days rest before they had to come play again. So they're getting excited. The end is near, and they want to get to Sydney.
And again, this is the one that will clinch a berth to Sydney because 2 teams from this tournament will go. So the 2 finalists tomorrow will both get the automatic berths to the Olympics in Australia. And there you see the margin of victory. And again, the most impressive victory may have been Thursday because it was a hostile crowd, and boy, did this team respond to that.
Well, it was going to happen. They had played 2 lackluster games. They were playing before the home crowd here in Puerto Rico. They were excited. They had a day off the next day. Then they were going to be into the round of the medals going to Sydney. So it was very predictable. The United States needed that game to get back that good feeling, that energy, that defense that they'd had in the previous 5.
And Argentina, which played well in the first couple of minutes against the USA last Saturday, getting the opening tip. That's Juan Espiel, their leading scorer. And that's Alejandro Montichea. Payton quickly pushing it down the other way. And here's where the USA excels. Gary Payton. And a goaltend, 2 points for Gary Payton.
Mike, when you look at the United States team, they have 2 big guards, Jason Kidd and Gary Payton. Both of them are very good defensive rebounders, and then they can take the ball end to end. That's what they hurt these teams with, the fast breaks. They just can't match the speed.
And Garnett as well helping out. He's been such a force on the press as well. You mentioned Payton. Payton's such a great finisher. Not able to get it out there, but finishes so well. Payton again creating havoc. Garnett knocks it away, and Payton unable to save it. But this has been the scenario in almost every single game. Teams in the early going get overwhelmed, and if you kind of get through that storm, you're okay. But very few have been able to get through it.
Well, we saw that on our opening graphic, just what they've done to teams. But it's the energy and the passion with Kidd and Garnett and Gary Payton that leads this team. Then you have the skill of Houston and Duncan out there as starters with them.
Long three-pointer. That's good. Alejandro Montichea, who's an excellent three-point shooter, knocks it down. He's shooting 58% from that range here in this tournament. Houston fakes the 3. The ball movement there once again. Tim Duncan shot blocked, but a foul. Luis Scola got a piece of the ball, but also a piece of the arm. And of course, in international ball, a lot of changes in terms of rules from the NBA. Just 2 20-minute halves, so only a 40-minute game. Only 5 timeouts per game. As you see, the three-point distance much shorter than the NBA, the trapezoid lane as well.
Mike, interesting enough, too, when you watch the teams from the international countries and FIBA play, they don't foul much. They're more inclined to give up layups. The United States only shoots 16 free throws a game. They have 137 more field goals in this tournament in 8 games and only 32 more attempts. So they're shooting almost 60% because of all the easy baskets.
It's a different style of ball. Defense is not a premium in international basketball. That's Montichea. They like to run a lot of screens for Juan Espiel. Goes down low. Haven't had a lot of success in there. Good ball movement this time. To the basket. And Hugo Sconaccini with an impressive play.
Looked like he was going to take the little open jump shot, just put it on the floor. That was a great finish.
Garnett tries to save it. Espiel touches it last, and the USA will get it. USA trailing, something we have not said or seen during this tournament that often.
How about the great ball movement, though? All 5 guys touched the ball there, and then the strong finish by Sconaccini. That's nice to take that ball to the basket rather than settle for that three-pointer. And see the coach there. We talked to him before the game. What a delightful guy.
2 years has been the head coach of the national team. Allen Houston in and out. Garnett tries to keep it alive. And you've been impressed, as is the USA coaching staff, on how well he coaches his team. Larry Brown feels his team is the best coached team in this tournament.
They're very well schooled offensively. They space the floor, they move the ball, they handle it very nicely. The big difference, they just don't focus on defense, but that's sort of the way the philosophy is built over there.
Fake on the 3 from Sconaccini, tied up nicely by Payton. Espiel had a 14-point game against the USA last week. Nice backdoor play from Sconaccini. And a rare time Team USA has been beaten like that defensively.
If you'll take care of the basketball and get it down to a half court, make them work in the half court, use the clock, you can hang around for a while.
Duncan goes strong and draws the foul. He'll shoot 2, but a 7-1 run now by Argentina. And let's send it to Craig Sager.
Well, I talked to Julio Lamas before the game. It was one of the most unusual interviews I had with a coach. I said, what do you have to do to win? He goes, it is impossible to win. I said, well, that may be true, but what do you tell your team? He goes, I told him it's impossible to win. Just go out and have fun. If you can open shot, take it. He said, the only chance we have to win is that we shoot the tires out of the bus on the way here.
Most of the coaches have felt the same way, with perhaps the exception of Puerto Rico the other night, as Duncan knocks down the second free throw. USA trailing by 2 here in the early going. But I would say Argentina, from just playing the United States last week, at least not completely, and a foul draw, count it, and one. Tim Duncan commits the foul as Leonardo Gutierrez with a chance for a three-point play.
One of the things you're seeing is they're moving the ball very well. The United States like to trap and double, and they're back cutting, and you see as they go to the basket here, Tim Duncan does not rotate soon enough. A little bit of a circus shot there off the wrong foot, the left hand, the little spinner. But I like the confidence right now by Argentina. They're coming out, they're playing loose, they're not turning the ball over, they're getting good shots, using the clock. As a result, you know, Mike, they lead 9-5 here with a chance to make it 10-5.
Yeah, most of the teams are in awe when they first face the Americans, but because they had that game last week, that's kind of out of the way, so at least they're loose and just playing relaxed basketball.
I agree. You cannot be overwhelmed by this United States team early. If you are, you've got no shot.
Espiel with a nice defensive play. And Argentina really coming out impressively as they lead by 5. Foul shot won't go. Sconacini very aggressive in taking it to the basket. He's tied as their team's leading scorer as Allen Houston picks up the foul.
The one thing the United States has done over here also too, Mike, is they really play in stretches, in surges. They'll hit you with a 10-0, then a 14-2 run, maybe a 16-4. And see, these teams can't recover from that kind of pressure, those kind of surges. And as an NBA coach, the one thing you try to stay away from are those kind of things. But they just get overwhelmed. They're out-talented, and that's what happens here. So, you know, United States off to a little bit of a slow start here. And again, they have not gotten many layups yet.
A 6-point deficit for Team USA. Looking to get down to Duncan. The quick double team, he's seen certainly a lot of that. Allen Houston, quick hop and shoot, and knocks down the three-pointer. Yeah, that must seem so much easier for him in the shorter distance.
Well, you can just see the great confidence Allen Houston is playing with now, coming off the great performance in the finals.
And Scola gets a pretty pass inside. Luis Scola, 19-year-old, and it's back up to a 5-point lead. Argentina playing a lot more with a lot more intensity defensively than we've seen.
And you can see what their philosophy is going to be. They're going to double back, a lot of zone principles here, and force the United States to make some jump shots.
And Kidness fires on the 3. He's going to cheat. Wild shot in and out. That one halfway down. Duncan the quick outlet. Kidd finding a wide open Houston. Jason Kidd the drive.
See again the layup. They do not have the depth to take the fouls. Where you only get 5 fouls, so you got to be careful not getting in foul trouble. So they just give up layups.
That's why United States shooting about 59% in the tournament. Espiel is fouled down low by Kidd. As the 2 guards for Argentina, Espiel and Sconacini playing extremely well. And more free throws coming up. Timeout. With just over 4.5 gone by, United States trailing by 3.
The slightest scent of unpleasantness.
Run for layups. You don't have it. Move the ball. To me, he's playing on the high side of you, so you can feel a lot what Gary Payton was going to do. Their guards are doubling down, so make sure we got good spacing. All right?
You can hear Larry Brown there really talking to his team, and he talked a little defensively before we got to the offense. When he said, keep the guys in front of you. Let's not give them any layups. And Argentina's shooting 5 of 7, and it really hasn't been on perimeter jumpers. It's been on layups. He said they're doubling back against us, space the floor, make the open shot. Stop fouling. We've already got 3 fouls. Let's not put them on the free throw line. So, you know, Larry just keeping his team abreast of what they need to do against this team.
Well, Espiel at the free throw line right now. 31-year-old knocking down both. And a very unexpected score to start. All 5 players in Argentina have already scored. They're a well-balanced offensive team.
Argentina in a zone defense coming out of the timeout, giving them a little bit of a different look here.
United States has seen quite a bit of this during the course of the tournament. Nice feed inside by Kidd. Duncan cannot complete it. Some boos here from the crowd. They've seen some explosive highlight dunks. The deliberate offense. Scola making his move on Duncan, blocked by Duncan, but a foul. And Tim Duncan has picked up his 2nd foul. Remember, 5 personals in international ball and you're disqualified.
Now the problem you have with Duncan getting in foul trouble, but you only get 5. Vin Baker, who's going to come into the game right now, is out of shape. He's overweight. He's not playing good basketball. Gugliotta, the other big man for the United States, got his nose broken in the training camp. He has really struggled, and they're playing Kevin Garnett actually as a small forward inside. So right now, weakness would be our depth along the inside, Mike.
And Baker off the bench. He'll come in at the next opportunity. Lead is up to 7 meanwhile. Garnett left open, and Kevin Garnett knocks it down. Garnett has really had a coming out party in this tournament. The veterans very impressed not only with obviously his basketball ability, but his leadership ability.
How about his energy? This guy's got more energy. Asked Gary Payton, I said, who would win in an energy contest with you, Latrell Sprewell, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Kidd? He said, Kevin Garnett. No question.
Well, you got to go with the young guys.
That's
got the young legs. So good defense from Allen Houston there on that steal. Shot clock is down to 3. Scola has to fire it up. Jason Kidd will lead it the other way. Payton back out to Kidd. Houston with a quick jump. Allen Houston knocks down to 2.
That's good ball movement, one side to the other, and Allen Houston just with a great jump shot. There's a turnover that's going to lead to a layup. You can count on that.
Alley-oop. Kevin Garnett completes it, and the United States now within 1.
This is what Argentina has to be very, very careful with, is those surges that we talked about.
Espio flips it up with the left hand, and a goaltend. So count to 2. Larry Brown saying no.
Now Larry Brown was saying you can knock the ball off the rim in international basketball. That's not goaltending. Now I do not know why this is goaltending unless he said that it bounced up and wasn't laying on the rim, but you can swat that ball off the rim.
I think the official said that some contact was made either on the net or the rim by a player's hand, which is not.
They always got all the answers, don't they?
Houston again. Allen Houston drills another 2. Houston now 3 of 4 from the field. He has 7 points. There you see the United States bouncing back after the quick start from Argentina. And a whistle away from the ball. It's going to go against Juan Espil, trying to battle for position down low.
I think Gary Payton has the great ability to get in you and just be such a nuisance and a pest. And that time, Espil lost his cool a little bit and got the offensive foul. Those are the unforced errors that you have to stay away from.
So tough to be a guard and play against Payton and Kidd, the 2 Oakland guys. Such great defenders, so much made about their other parts of the game, but they play such tough defense.
There's the play the other way. Vin Baker this time gives a little bump to Gutierrez, and Gutierrez with a nice acting job. Watch Vin Baker now as he tries to post up. Watch his left arm. That's the old European flop right there, Vin. You can't do that.
They have done very well with that. So Baker picks up his first. Argentina still with the lead. And we played over 7 minutes. Montecchio tied up.
Look at the great spacing they have on the floor.
That 2-pointer will not go for Scola. Knocked out of bounds, and it goes right back to Argentina.
The United States really needs Vin Baker to be in shape here. He's been a disappointment, Mike. He's got some numbers, but he's carrying about 20 extra pounds. He went through an injury rack season last year with Seattle. He's opted out of his contract. He's a free agent, and a lot of questions on how much money you want to give this guy right now as he lost his desire to play.
Scola. Montecchio actually knocking that one in. He's got 7 points, and Argentina back up by 3. Yeah, they've got some tough decisions in Seattle.
Absolutely.
Gary Payton says, though, he'll be back. They become good friends. Payton is confident he'll be back. Baker's not so sure, though.
Well, they need him back as an all-star. Not as the guy that played last year.
Good ball movement. Cannon, a nice fake underneath. Flips up the set, won't go. Ball tipped out, ball deflected by Payton. And Argentina will gain control. Very impressive start from Argentina. And Baker's shaken up. He injured an ankle early on in the tournament. Seems bothered by that once again. Just over 8 minutes gone by. USA down by 3. Julio Lamas ecstatic with the way his team has come out, and Doug, it's the way they've done it that's a surprise.
Well, they've taken the pressure defense. The United States only turned it over twice, spread the floor, back cut, got to the lane, and look at the points in the paint. 18, only 3 on the perimeter. This is a team really that lives with their three-point shooting. So the United States shooting 64%, but are trailing into this game because of all the layups.
Scola against Baker, tries to go baseline. Baker gets a piece of it, knocks it away. Ball still loose. Good hustle by a number of players, and here comes the USA. Down by 3 as we approach near the midway point of the first half. Nice entry pass to Garnett. Ball deflected, however. Manu Ginobili with a pass ahead. Houston picks it up. Argentina getting a little sloppy now. Garnett, touch pass to Payton, and there's the unselfish play.
Absolutely. One of the things that Larry Brown has done with his team with the pressure defense is also get him to make the extra pass. You put a group of guys like this together, and when they make the extra pass, that's the kind of action that you get.
And they have been more than willing. It's a team that have really checked the egos when this all started.
You know, I think the United States committee's done a great job. The great back cut there once again.
Passes up the shoot, hits the side of the backboard from Nocioni. Kid back to Garnett. Ball deflected away. Houston trying to hustle. And picked up by Scola. And Emmanuel Ginobili with the bucket.
But Mike, just to follow up that point, I think the committee's done a nice job also of putting together a group of guys who are talented but also great representatives of the country. That's vital, you know, when you're going to play an international ball and need this unselfish play.
They have handled themselves so well both on and off the court. Garnett, count it, and a foul. Chance for a three-point play from Kevin Garnett.
We're going to see Larry Brown now go to his bench. Tim Hardaway will come in along with Steve Smith. Tim Hardaway, I thought, played his best game the other night against Puerto Rico. He's coming off knee surgery. It's been about 6 weeks ago. Looked like he hit a little bit more bounce in his step the other day, Mike. And then Steve Smith, we know, is a great shooter. And he played exceptionally well in the game that Payton fouled out. Came in and gave him 18 points and gave him a big lift against Brazil.
So Smith comes in for Houston. Hardaway coming in for Jason Kidd. Garnett hits the free throw. The game tied at 23.
Now this team is not a good pressure defense. Tim Hardaway with his legs, Steve Smith, they lose some of that pressure defense when they take Kidd out of the game.
Well, the word you keep using, that high energy from the first unit. Three-pointer misfire, Ginobili. Garnett, quick outlet to Hardaway. Ahead to Baker, and Baker fouled by Ginobili. That'll be his first, as we're right at the halfway point of the opening 20 minutes. 15 foul.
I know, Mike, I felt like at this point in the game, the United States would probably be about 15. I'm really impressed with how Argentina has come out and played with great confidence.
Maybe a bit of an emotional letdown, because Thursday night the atmosphere here was wonderful. I mean, you want to go into any NBA arena, it was as wild and as loud as Payton misfires. And a foul called underneath. This one will go against Luis Scola. But here, when you have the pride of the country, there's about 12,300 people in here waving their flags, singing chants, blowing horns. It was a great atmosphere, and it was a hostile one that they really responded to. Payton with a three-pointer, won't go. Garnett, nice feed into Smith, and a travel. Now you have, Doug, all of a sudden they come to this game, and it's the first semifinal. Puerto Rico plays in the second game. The crowd is still just filing in. It's very quiet in here.
Well, these guys are used to playing in big games, United States, with the hostile crowds in the playoffs and all, and they thrive in that kind of environment. And the game is, the arena here is a little dead, and they're going to have to find a way to energize themselves. The crowd will not do it today.
Somebody with a lot of energy misfires. Montecchio looking for his shot early. Crowd wanted a carry, and Steve Smith knocks down the three, and the USA, after trailing by as many as 6, back up on top.
Well, he and Allen Houston are the best perimeter shooters on this team. You give them open looks, they're going to make a high percentage, especially from 20 feet at that three-point line.
Feed inside, Scola. There's the touch pass. Nocioni goes underneath.
3 seconds.
Picking up there. Ball still loose. And it's finally going to be Argentina ball. Right now they're taking bad shots at being altered by the presence inside.
Well, I think they got excited. They were getting layups, and the United States sort of closed that down now. And what they have to do is settle for that little jump shot. Nocioni had a little jump shot there, and he tried to get fancy with it and took a tough shot.
They've missed 4 of their last 5 shots. That's Nocioni. Goes at Garnett, flips it up. Won't go. Rebound Baker. A 3-point lead for the Americans. Once again, the semifinals, and a foul inside of Nocioni. A victory today would clinch an Olympic berth in Sydney for next year and would eliminate Argentina for possible Olympic play. There's only 2 teams in this tournament make it, as you see Tom Gugliotta coming in with the protective mask, suffered the broken nose, got an elbow in the practice from his Phoenix Suns teammate Jason Kidd, and it has been a frustrating tournament for him because of the injury, and that has forced him not to play as much as he wanted.
I'll tell you, it's tough to play in that mask. If you've never done that before, your vision, your breathing, everything is disrupted. It's very, very hard.
He was saying that it's hard to see the ball unless it's passed directly at you. There's no peripheral vision. It's Baker with a nice move inside. And USA now on an 8-0 run. Nocioni can't complete it. Gugliotta the outlet. Shots that were falling early for Argentina. No longer falling, and Hardaway puts it in. Tim Hardaway puts USA up by 7.
These are that surge that we talked about. The game now, the United States taking over, starting to wear them down. Remember, they talked a little depth for Argentina. The United States now just wearing them down. Not so much with their pressure defense, but just pushing the ball at them every time down the floor.
And an offensive foul on Andres Nocioni. You know the runs are coming. It's just a matter of trying to hold them to some kind of limit. USA at a 10-0 run right now. Year-old Andres Nocioni, who had maybe the highlight of this tournament. It was last week in the game against the United States. Argentina was trailing badly in the second half, but watch the play from Nocioni, and the crowd goes absolutely crazy. Pass Garnett, pass Duncan, and puts it in.
Well, the great thing about it, you see the smile on his face. After the game was over, he came into the tape room. We were editing tape or whatever, and he wanted to see it again, and he saw it, and he has run it back again, run it back again. Even Kevin Garnett there with a smile, but that was the play of the tournament for Nocioni.
Well, he talked about what a thrill it was for him, and certainly made his tournament. His teammates loved it as well. And otherwise a blowout victory for the United States, but Garnett was very impressed with him and said he hopes that move gets him some endorsements. Then Baker gets inside. Baker being productive here early.
Well, they're going inside. They're not settling for the outside shot now. 18 fouls on Argentina. They'll shoot free throws the rest of the way. United States will. So go inside, attack them. They're undersized, 6'9", their biggest player.
Gino Bally trying to get some room against Baker. Puts it up left-handed, misfires. The follow put up and backed in nicely by Gutierrez. Another one of the young players. This is a very young team from Argentina. And that ends the run at 12 straight. Hardaway, hop step in the 3.
Tim Hardaway really has been the guy shooting the threes. He's taken 44 threes in the 8 games coming into this tournament, made 17, a lot of them because of the leg. He just couldn't penetrate like he normally does, so he's settling for that outside jump shot.
Puts the USA up by 10. That's Victoriano with the ball. Juanes Field trying to come off the screen. Lost it out of bounds. Still Argentina ball with 9 left on the 30-second shot clock.
I think Coach Lamas from Argentina is just hoping his team can stay around, not let this game in the last 6 minutes get up to 20.
The quick shot won't go. Baker the rebound. Hardaway pushing it up 3-on-2. The numbers for the U.S. Gugliotta blocked from behind. Ball's trying to be saved, knocked out of bounds. Argentina ball.
Now, that's one of those situations with that mask. Normally you have a sense of somebody's around you. And in that mask, you can only see ahead of you. So he didn't get the feeling that he had a man trailing from behind to block his shot.
Ginobili able to block it. Open shots. Now you see the hesitation inside. They don't want to put it up in there. Gutierrez. Good defense from Gugliotta. Then he gets the rebound and nice outlet as well. Smith open. 3 won't go. foul called on Steve Smith with 5:36 remaining in the first half. And the United States now a little bit of a margin, up by 10. They trail by 6. A good way into this first half.
This guy's a great coach. Mike, we had a fun time visiting with him before the game. He was animated. He was alive for the game. And he said, you know, our team 2002, Indianapolis, look out. He said, we could be pretty good. He's got young guys getting some experience.
That'd be the World Championships. He's very pleased with the way his team has performed. Again, they got blown out last Saturday, but they've come back nicely. They're one of the teams to beat Puerto Rico. And anybody who's seen the games here in Puerto Rico in front of the hometown fans, that is no easy task.
Well, his big disappointment is he said, you know what, the United States really shouldn't have to qualify. They're the defending Olympic champion, and for them having to qualify, it takes away from one of the other teams being able to get there. So instead of really 2 teams getting here from the Americas, really only 1.
And there are some good teams that are here. For example, Puerto Rico and Canada, which will play in the other semifinal. Only one of those 2 teams will go. Payton, nice move inside. Gary Payton with a little flash. And the USA up by 12.
Gary Payton is one of those guys who loves to play basketball. He'll play all day long. Hardaway's that way. Garnett, Jason Kidd, they love to play.
Long three-pointer and way off the mark. Victoriano can't connect. Quickly down the floor, and now USA starting to pull away. And a timeout called with 4:26 remaining. A 19-2 run for Larry Brown. United States now up by 12 here late in the first half. For the U.S. now 14 with just under 4.5 to play in the first half. And in the second half of the WNBA season, good game for you later on today as the New York Liberty and LA Sparks, All-Star Game MVP Lisa Leslie. And the Sparks continuing their drive to the top of the Western Conference, playing Teresa Weatherspoon and the East leading Liberty. Liberty and the Sparks next on NBC.
Liberty better look out. The Detroit Shock making a move on them right now, my old Detroit Shock. So they better watch out. They need a win today.
That league is wide open this year.
That's right.
And there you see one of the runs that Doug was talking about. You never know when it's going to start. It's a matter of when you stop it. And right now, Argentina having problems.
Well, see, the one thing you do normally when you're in the NBA is you call a timeout when a team's on a run like this. You say, where can we get a basket? And you try to go to somebody and get you a hoop. Here, who are you going to get a basket from?
And a travel, excellent defense from the United States. First with Garnett's block and then the recovery. So a travel call.
Well, Mike, after all the layups, remember they had 18 points in the paint in the first 21. They've now missed or made 2 of their last 14 shots. So it's the United States defense taking away the layups. Really, that's blown this game open for them. Really not the turnovers as much as just their good interior defense now.
And not getting any good shots at all. They're contested, and some of them just prayers throwing them up there as Hardaway tries to get inside to Garnett. But a foul before the shot. Juan Espil. And that'll be his first. Hardaway will go to the free throw line. So Tim Hardaway, the oldest player on this USA team at 32, getting his chance to represent his country. Boy of a moment, tell you tomorrow, NBC presents the ultimate test of endurance, the Ironman Triathlon. Some of the best athletes in the world accept the challenge of swimming, biking, then running a marathon in the Hawaiian heat. Just finishing is considered amazing. The 20th anniversary Ironman Triathlon tomorrow, 2 Eastern on NBC. How many triathlons have you won?
No, that's a little bit too much for me, Mike. I saw you out running. I was thinking more of you along those lines. Now I can get on the bike.
Payton, nice feet inside. And once again, the defense leads to offense. Argentina being overwhelmed right now. Hardaway, good defense from behind. Hardaway tries to get fancy with Garnett. Doesn't work.
That would have really turned the house down, and he made that one.
An open jumper. And finally a basket. It's been a while as Juan Espil puts it in.
Well, see, they needed that because what had happened, they had picked up the speed of their offense. They were trying to play too quickly. They were taking bad shots. That's what happens with pressure defense. When they pressure you, instead of pulling back and going slower, you get going too quickly, and it just leads to those surges that we talked about in those runs.
Well, they played much better, Argentina. They were down by 30 at halftime in the first game last week. Payton inside. Hardaway spotting up, and a 3-second violation.
Gary Payton should have probably shot that ball, tried to be a little too unselfish. You saw Hardaway spotting up behind the three-point line, and that extra pass will get you in trouble with that three-second call.
Garnett helping out on defense. A wide open shot from Gutierrez, and gets the nice roll. Soft rims here at the Roberto Clemente Coliseum.
Now remember, this is a team that shoots 48% from three in this tournament, so that's not a fluke. These guys can shoot the ball.
And Smith loses it out of bounds.
And Larry Brown, what he doesn't want now is for his team to fall asleep in the last 2 minutes. They had an 18-point lead. Now it's down to 13. A three here makes it 10. And all of a sudden now you allow them to come back into the game somewhat.
Again, they kick it out. Ginobili wide open to two, in and out. And Garnett the rebound. Hardaway, drop pass for Payton. Steve Smith. Garnett. Baker back out. There's the wide open three. Gary Payton knocks it down. Payton is shooting an incredible percentage, 75% from the field in this tournament. Of course, most of those are layups.
Well, he had a 25-point game the other night. He had 11 layups. You're talking to him about it afterwards. He said, hey, anybody can make 11 layups.
He has been over 50% from three-point range. And again, the shorter distance might not seem like a nice feed inside. And Gutierrez with a nice bucket. Ginobili, pretty pass.
Well, basically, the United States switches all screens. And that time, Kevin Garnett and Gary Payton got confused. They didn't talk to each other. And the man just slipped it, and a nice pass.
14-point lead for the United States as we approach a minute remaining. Hardaway, long three, puts it in. Tim Hardaway from downtown.
You got to feel good for Tim Hardaway. I mean, he was chosen for the 94 team, tore his cruciate ligament 12 days later, had to miss. Then he was chosen for the team last year, lockout, had to miss. He realizes his chances are getting slimmer. That's why he's here playing even with his knee injured. He just wanted to play.
And he really is enjoying the experience. Ginobili tries to get fancy inside. Gutierrez trying to get out of there. Here the calls for the 3-second. Move inside the field. Won't go down for him. Knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Argentina. Coming up in a half-minute remaining. Coming up, the AT&T halftime report with Ahmad Rashad. Preview of today's WNBA game between the Liberty and the Sparks. Plus Ahmad talks with Kevin Garnett on the AT&T halftime report.
Yeah, Ahmad was over here the other day, got out of town before we got here, Mike. He was over doing a little inside stuff, doing double duty in the summer.
Ginobili the other way. It didn't stay long. We thought we'd see him. Long three-point. Knocks it down. Lucas Victoriano. And Argentina kind of hanging in there in the final seconds.
Steve Smith loves these kind of shots.
That won't go as he released it after the buzzer. And an impressive performance from Argentina. United States a little sluggish early, and then went on one of their vaunted runs and just got a little sloppy in the last couple of minutes. So halftime, the semifinals of the Olympic qualifying tournament of the Americas. United States, a 14-point lead over Argentina.
This is the AT&T halftime report. AT&T, it's all within your reach.
It is halftime in Puerto Rico with the United States leading Argentina by 14. Tim Hardaway leads the U.S. with 10 points as Team USA came back from an early 7-point deficit. Hello, everybody. I'm Ahmad Rashad in New York with the AT&T halftime report. While the NBA's best are in Puerto Rico for the Tournament of the Americas, the WNBA season is beginning its stretch run for the playoffs. And coming up next on NBC, the top team in the East, the New York Liberty, face the Los Angeles Sparks. Tom Hammond and Ann Myers are in Los Angeles to call today's game. Tom.
Ahmad, the New York Liberty come into today's game leading the Eastern Conference, but they face a tough assignment. The Los Angeles Sparks have won 9 of their last 11 games, and included in that string a 13-point victory over Houston earlier this week. And Coach Orlando Woolridge says his players are starting to think the unthinkable, catching the two-time defending champions in the West.
They believe now. They believe. I mean, they believed at the beginning, but it took a win over Houston for them to really believe. They're like, okay, we can beat everybody else, but can we really beat Houston? We've gotten close, but once they beat Houston and came back and kind of revenged that loss against Phoenix, I mean, they really believe now.
Orlando Woolridge has his team playing great basketball. They are sharing the basketball also. They lead the league in scoring and field goal percentage. And how about this? Also in assists, despite the fact that they don't have anybody as league leaders in assists. They have a very good chance of catching Houston.
And we'll see the latest chapter in the Sparks drive to catch the Comets this afternoon when they take on the New York Liberty a little later. Ahmad?
Thanks, Tom. It is the Liberty and the Sparks right after today's semifinal game from the Tournament of the Americas, where the United States leads Argentina 49-35. We'll have more on the AT&T halftime report right after this. .com for Bill Walton's insights on the major stories of the NBA's offseason, including how the Spurs might replace Sean Elliott, who this week announced he needs a kidney transplant. It's all at MSNBCSports.com. One note from baseball. The National League West leading San Francisco Giants bolstered their rotation by acquiring 1997 World Series MVP Livan Hernandez from the Florida Marlins for 2 minor leaguers. Hernandez was 5-9 with a 4.76 ERA for the Marlins. Back to basketball, one of the rising stars on Team USA is 23-year-old Kevin Garnett of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who is ready to lead the NBA into the new millennium.
Opportunities I'm getting in life, off the court, on the court, really broad right now. I look at the fact that, stuff I've been through in Minnesota, this is just another opportunity I get to, not prove myself, but come out and just show that, I belong. Another opportunity I get to sort of soak in within myself. This is another opportunity for me to, really play another day of basketball, and have fun with it and do what I do best.
Kevin Garnett continues to spark the U.S. team. He has 7 points and 2 rebounds in the first half today. That's all from the AT&T halftime report. We will send you back to Mike Breen and Doug Collins right after this.
This has been the AT&T halftime report. AT&T, it's all within your reach.
Sunday. Time of the tournament, the United States was behind for over 8 minutes, but a 23-2 run changed things. I'm with Gary Payton. And Gary, what happened at the beginning and how were you able to turn the game around?
Well, they just came out shooting really well, so we just had to turn it up. We wasn't, into it a little bit. They were shooting tough shots, making tough shots, and then we started putting defense and getting easy baskets.
You had to play the first half. You tired?
I'm all right. I'll catch my win, and we got to get this win, so I'll think about it after the game.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go back to Mike and Doug.
All right, Craig, thank you. Being tired, that's something that can happen. This is their 9th game in 10 days, and maybe fatigue a little bit early on because they struggled early, but then really started to show their will.
And they did that really without Tim Duncan, who got in foul trouble. But today, the second unit did not let them down. They came in, did a nice job. Hardaway off the bench, Steve Smith, Ben Baker, and that's what they need. They need the depth. And again, they wore Argentina down. You can see with a field goal percentage after getting off to a great start, down to 39%. They challenged the threes, up in the rebound, and Gary Payton the entire first half. And you can see the start of the game, 67% down to 27%. And really was the United States, what Gary Payton said, we just started exerting ourselves defensively, and that's how they turned it around.
Second half set to begin. 20 more minutes for the United States to make it official and clinch a berth in the Olympic Games in Sydney. We'll be back with the second half after this timeout.
The Olympic Qualifying Tournament of the Americas is brought to you by Coors Light, who reminds you the 3 most important words are, Hey Beer Man. By Midas, go safely, go Midas. By Travelers Insurance, a member of Citigroup. And by Degree, the body heat activated antiperspirant.
Here in San Juan, second half set to begin. United States now with a 14-point lead. We mentioned after trailing for a good portion of the first half. They tried to steal the tap. Kevin Garnett looks in disbelief.
That's a bad toss. Kevin got caught jumping a little too quickly, but when you look at the first half stats, Mike, Argentina only 7 turnovers. That's really good against this pressure defense, but still trailed by 14.
You mentioned the toss in terms of officials. Only 2 officials. The international ball. As a whistle down low will go against the United States. Allen Houston and Tim Duncan in the vicinity. I wonder if they'll go to 3 officials, because at the pace of the game today, you might need a 3rd.
I think you need 3 now. Maybe they do it for financial purposes, I don't know, but you know, the guys are so big and strong and quick now. You almost need 6 eyes out there rather than 4 to be able to see all that's going on, especially off the ball.
That last foul, ball on Allen Houston, his second. 3-pointer won't go from Espiel. And Payton will lead it the way. Same 5 that started. Payton, Kidd, Allen Houston, Duncan, and Garnett. Garnett has not looked for his offense. Pass inside, knocked away by Scola. And Argentina coming the other way. Payton trying to draw the charge. Espiel wide open. In and out, won't go. And he's upset with himself. He's an excellent 3-point shooter. Houston drawing the foul. And let's send it to Craig Sager.
During the first half, while hustling for a loose ball, Vin Baker ran into a chair. He suffered a cut in a bruised shin. He would have been treated at the time, but with Tim Duncan in foul trouble, he had to stay in the game. Right now, it's bandaged with ice. He could play in the second half if they need him. Mike?
It has not been an easy season for Vin Baker. As you mentioned, the injuries earlier and the poor play during the course of the season with Seattle. And he had more injuries here.
You know, Mike, the thing about it is he went to camp really out of shape. And when you're out of shape, you're a step behind. All those little injuries, you get nicked. And I think that's what's happened. He being out of shape here, maybe something that you could miss, a collision you could avoid. Sometimes you get involved in and you get banged up. And he really needs to work to get himself in shape. And I know he's heard that from everybody, but it's going to be vital for him in the success of Seattle if he goes back there.
Terrific player who did have all the problems this year. The fake on the long 3, feet inside. Gutierrez knocked away by Kidd. Excellent defensive help from Jason Kidd. And the U.S. will hold on to possession.
Jason Kidd just comes in from behind the play with the great hands. He has really come into his own in Phoenix in the top 5 in MVP voting and had a great year last year for the Phoenix Suns.
The United States gets a break. Didn't appear that anybody from Argentina touched that one, but they'll give it to the U.S. on the baseline. Houston, open 3, won't go. Duncan on the offensive rebound, and Duncan is fouled. Duncan has been relatively quiet here in the semifinals, but he has had a superb tournament. After talk about Baker having a rough year, it cannot get any better for Tim Duncan in terms of what he accomplished and the growth in just his second year in the NBA.
Absolutely. He was fantastic in the finals, all through the playoffs. And, you know, I know he would like for us to pass along his regards and ours to Sean Elliott. Sean is going to be in need of a kidney transplant. We wish him the best and hope that he will come back healthy and strong.
Elliott receiving a lot of encouragement and support from his teammates in the community. One of the good guys in the NBA. Gutierrez trying to post up Payton. Fancy pass inside. Sconacini got off to a quick start. Now fires it up way short. Allen Houston's played some good defense here today. Long 3-pointer way off the mark from Victoriano. And Garnett clears it. 3-on-2 the other way. Duncan blocked but fouled. Sconacini on the personal.
You know, Tim Duncan is so interesting. They were talking about playing in the Tournament of Americas. He grew up a 20-minute flight from here in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. And he said, you know what, I've really had more fun watching the guys play. I mean, that's sort of the personality of Tim Duncan. When you look at him, he sort of gives you that sleepy-eyed look or whatever. But do not be fooled. This guy is a competitor.
Well, like you mentioned, just 10 days after that Game 5 in the NBA Finals, he had to come here. So his body is no doubt still tired. You go from having that tough playoff run and coming in and working out against these guys, and the practices were very intense. And then the games, 9 games in 10 days.
And you know, Mike, regardless of the competition you're playing, 9 games in 10 days, that's a grind. You know, in the NBA, you play 3 games in a row, that's a lot. You know, next year it'll go back probably to 2 because of the 82-game schedule. That takes its toll on players.
Nice move inside, Luis Scola. Another of the fine young players, another one just 19 years old. Youngest player on the team. They feel he's going to be a good one. And Argentina's still hanging around. 16-point lead for the United States as we approach 3 minutes gone by here in the second half.
You know, my coach Lamas has got to be very proud of his team. They have come out and competed, and they've hung around like you talked about. They're outmanned. They're a young team. But he likes the upside of this Argentinian team as they continue to develop and mature and get this kind of experience.
Kidd on the steal. Payton right back to Kidd. Duncan left open, won't shoot that. Kidd goes inside, and Jason Kidd.
You can see them sort of hanging their head now. They know, you know what, we hung around, we're down 20. They're wearing us out. It's the biggest lead of the game. They needed this timeout. The coach is going to have to give his best pep talk of the tournament now.
The inevitable for Argentina as they're down by 20. Largest lead of the game for U.S. This time USA Basketball had to qualify for a spot in the Olympic Games was 92 in Portland. Michael Jordan and the original Dream Team. Magic Johnson, David Robinson. Perhaps the greatest collection for a team ever put together. Clyde Drexler. Boy, they all look so young there. And there it is.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Mike, when you look at these, Charles Barkley, the only guy, he'd just been traded before this. Everybody else had played for one team at this point in their career. There was great stability. Now with the free agency and guys playing around to different teams and going to different teams in the trading, of this team you have 3 college players, the 9 professional players, 6 of them have already been on more than one team in their careers, and they're all relatively young.
And though it's a nice move inside by Sconacini, you hope the new collective bargaining agreement, it's going to go back to the other way now, because I think fans, that's something important to the fans, to have that loyal following of the same guys you can count on, not the constant shuffling.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Duncan inside, ball deflected, blocked by, it looked like Scola got a piece of it. Sconacini misfires. They have not shot the ball well from three-point range after the first couple of minutes. Scola the hook. And Garnett get it off the Kidd. Court violation. United States has turned it over a little bit more than certainly Larry Brown wants to see.
Well, they're wanting to push the action, and the problem is they're not getting the turnovers on their own, so they're doing more full court where they're rebounding the ball and have to play at 94 feet rather than getting the turnovers, having numbers, and really playing, you know, half court against these teams. And I'm sure Larry Brown, he's a perfectionist. The guy is the ultimate teacher, and he does not like to see turnovers.
That's the 11th turnover for the U.S., just 9 for Argentina. It's one of the reasons why they've been able to at least hang around for much of the game, down by 18 right now. Victoriano trying to find an opening. Shot clock dwindling down to 5. Long three. Victoriano way off the mark. Garnett seemed to enjoy playing him out there.
Well, they just switched, and Kevin Garnett said, you can't beat me off the dribble. Go ahead. The guy ends up shooting about a 25-footer.
Well, Houston misfires.
Well,
Sconacini quickly the other way.
He usually doesn't miss that one, Mike. That's usually money in the bank for Allen Houston.
And there's the turnover. Payton with the steal. USA with the numbers. Kidd, nice back pass, and Payton puts it in. Larry Brown has loved that unselfish play, as we mentioned. And as you talk about Larry Brown, remember he was scheduled to be one of the assistant coaches. Rudy Tomjanovich, suffering from exhaustion, backed out as the doctors told him it would not be wise for him to go to this schedule coming here to Puerto Rico. So Brown has taken over with Gene Cady and Tubby Smith.
Great staff he has with him. And you know, Larry Brown ultimately really is a college coach at heart. I mean, he's a guy who loves to teach and all, and he loves this environment where he can be with the guys. He wishes there was some practice time because Larry's a guy who loves to get out and teach. But with Gene Cady and Tubby Smith there, he really likes his assistants. And, you know, we hope to see Rudy team back next year, that he'll be feeling much, much better.
Larry Brown's had a lot of accomplishments in his career. I still think the most impressive is he brought the Clippers to the playoffs.
That's true, and everywhere he's been, he has been a winner.
First free throw is good. Tonight on CNBC, The Olympic Show. We'll take a look at endurance, a documentary about the life of Ethiopian distance runner Haile Gebrselassie. Then America's best hope for Olympic gold in the pole vault. Jeff Hartwig talks about the games and shows off his reptile collection. That's The Olympic Show tonight on CNBC. The lead is 18 for the United States. Steve Smith, Tim Duncan, Payton out there right now. Smith has it taken away. Sconacini's having a ball out there playing right now. He's got a smile on his face right from the get-go. Gutierrez operating. That's Ginobili. Ginobili, by the way, a second-round pick of the Spurs in the '99 draft. And a turnover. That's Ginobili. 6'6" swingman, only 22 years old, excellent shooter from the outside.
The problem is when you play the United States, you just don't get much time to get that shot off. And at the 20-foot distance for the three-point line, Mike, the United States can close out on shooters so much quicker than you can at that 23-foot mark. So it's tough for these guys to get good looks at the basket.
So they'll inbound underneath, reset the clock. Shot won't go. Duncan's follow, and then Garnett. The other Garnett took a shot in the face, but still put it in. Garnett now with 11 points. It was a good start from Argentina. They're up by 7. Early in the first half, played very well, but the U.S. with a 23-2 run. And the lead's been anywhere between 16 and 20 since then. Three-pointer down by Scola.
You can see this young guy's got some talent. He's 6'7", 218 pounds, only 20 years old. Excuse me, he's 28 years old. He has a little bit of age on him, but he has some experience, and he's having some fun.
Ginobili throws it ahead. And the back pass, Payton able to steal it. Victoriano tried to get fancy. And Ginobili on the foul. More substitutions. Tim Hardaway is going to come back in the game for the U.S. Hardaway, strong first half, as you mentioned, at his best game against Puerto Rico, and continuing that today.
Well, it's an interesting substitution because Gary Payton played the whole way in the first half. Jason Kidd is going to sit down, and really he's the guy who's played most minutes in the tournament. So, Larry Brown choosing to take Jason out rather than give Gary Payton a little rest. He might have a 40-minute day here today.
You mentioned Kidd, about 26 minutes to lead the United States. That's been a difficult time, a 3-second violation call against the U.S. That's been difficult for Larry Brown. You have all these great players. You have the 9 NBA players plus the 3 college players who they're not getting much time unless it's a blowout. But to find the time, he finds it difficult because not only are they all good, but you only have a 40-minute game.
Absolutely. That's 8 less minutes to divvy up between your players. And let's face it, every one of these guys come over here and they want to play.
Another turnover. Hardaway, touch pass to Payton. Puts it in. So as he knocked it out after it went through the rim.
You know, Mike, when I used to evaluate players, obviously the first thing you look for in a player is talent. And the 2 things that used to jump out at me were competitive toughness. Does a guy love to play? And then energy. Does a guy have energy? And when you look at the guys who really have played the best in this tournament for the United States, it's those guys with that high energy. Here's one right here, Kevin Garnett. Watch this alley-oop right here. He's going to finish it.
Garnett trying to flip it, won't go. Then knocked it away and gets called for the foul.
But I mean, it's like the further the game goes, the more excited they get to play. I mean, Kevin Garnett, we saw him in the pool yesterday having fun, throwing kids around. Earlier in the week, he was out on the court playing with kids here. Just wants to play basketball.
I think you said it best. We were talking earlier this week about he understands what his role is and where he's at right now in his life and how appreciative he is of everything that's come his way. But his love of the game is amazing. You can take 4 people out of the stands and he'd be glad to play a game with them.
No question. And he's really become the crowd favorite because of his dunks and his energy and his enthusiasm.
Ginobili scores the other way, and Argentina's still down by 17. I know it sounds silly to say hanging in there, but compared to what's happened in most of these games, this is quite an effort from them. Garnett wants to do a little one-on-one, now finds Duncan. Inside, and Tim Duncan with authority.
How about that? Kevin Garnett plays pick and roll with Duncan and becomes the passer.
Flip-up shot won't go from Montechia. Payton, and an offensive foul. Luis Scola drawing the charge. And Payton picking up the personal. That's going to be for Payton his second. And a timeout on the floor. With just over 11 minutes remaining in the semifinal. United States in control. Nearly 9 minutes gone by in the second half. United States up by 9. 9 NBA players on the roster. And it's been a progression to get to the NBA players now playing in the Olympics, and something you're a part of the history that led to this starting back in 1972.
Yeah, I think when you look through this, in 72, the controversial game, which I was a part of that, the Soviet Union gets the gold medal. Then in 76, they don't play each other. You have at 80, the boycott, Yugoslavia wins. 84, another boycott, they don't play each other, U.S. wins. Then in 88, they lose once again to the Soviet Union, and it was almost like, okay, you know what, we're not going to lose anymore here. We're going to send our best players. The international players are professionals. Why not our guys? And at that point in time, really becomes no contest now with the evolution of the Dream Team.
72 started it, 88 sealed it in terms of the decision to go with the NBA players.
I would have just soon 76 started rather than 72, Mike, if you want to be a little selfish here.
And now, early on, people thought about the NBA players and being part of the Olympics. Some people had a problem with it, the traditionalists, but I think you can see now as Ginobili misfires on a three that even these players who make millions and millions of dollars playing in the NBA, they really have that feeling of playing for their country.
There is no other feeling like playing for your country. And I know one of the things that I have missed in my life is, I thought we had a gold medal. To be able to be up there with your teammates, to get that gold medal, to hear the national anthem being played, regardless of how much money you've made, there's no other feeling like being the United States basketball team winning and representing your country.
And these players have talked about it quite a bit, and this is just, again, a qualifying. All 9 of the NBA players, as Ginobili stripped down low by Duncan. Look at the hands on Duncan down there. Ginobili will try it again, misfires. All 9 of the NBA players will be on the team in Sydney, as Hardaway goes underneath and flips it in. But the 3 college players, Elton Brand, Richard Hamilton, and Wally Zerbiak, they will not be on the team. 3 others will have to be selected.
Yeah, and it probably is going to be Grant Hill, who would have been here, except he's getting married this week. Congratulations to Grant. And then Shaquille O'Neal. And then they're going to have to think, who probably will the third one be? They're going to get a shooter, another ball handler, a bigger guy. That'll be the question. But that will change this team also, too, because it will make their bench different. It will give them different depth. And these guys right here, obviously, you see Wally Zerbiak, Elton Brand, Richard Hamilton. They would love to play, but they understand. It comes their time, and these 9 guys deserve to play.
Brand had a good comment. He said, we're nothing but sponges. As we're soaking everything up, learning about what it's like dealing with these NBA players. And it's been a great experience, and you can bet the coaches and general managers of their respective teams that they're going to go into the league. They're grateful to see them get this kind of experience.
You know what I like what these guys are going through here? Most every one of these guys have never sat on the bench for any period of time in their life. Now they know what it's like when teammates sit over there and watch them play. It gives them a whole different perspective of now playing and being out there on the floor as to sitting and watching. That's a good experience to go through.
18-point lead for the United States as we approach 9 minutes remaining here in the semifinal. A victory for the United States, the inevitable victory, and they automatically qualify for the Olympic Games. Baker with the rejection. That should have been a goaltender. It appeared that way. Aspirura. And now they call a goaltender down the other way. And Argentina not pleased with the lack of consistency there.
You see, Ben Baker, this is his 2nd block shot of the tournament. You see being posted over here. Aspirura goes up for the little left-handed hook, and Ben Baker comes over and gets the block.
Officiating can sometimes be an adventure in international basketball.
And that's why you have to be so good that it doesn't matter. In my case in 72, we weren't dominant enough to play through it. These guys, it would be, you would have to get the crookedest officials in America to come in and handicap this as such to where the United States couldn't play through it.
The officials for this game, one from Israel and another from Italy. First free throw is good. Sports car racing returns to NBC Sports tomorrow for the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Sonoma. See 24 hours of Le Mans winning team BMW as they race on the legendary Sears Point Raceway against some of the world's most exotic cars. American Le Mans Series Grand Prix on Sonoma tomorrow at 4 Eastern right here on NBC. Hardaway, long three. Tim Hardaway has found the range here today.
He's starting to get his legs back. And, Mike, when you play, everything is generated from your legs. Your balance, your strength, your power, your endurance. You can see him starting to get more confident in that leg as this tournament has gone on.
He said it's about 75% right now. And he was not the same. You could see in the first round against the Knicks in the playoffs that knee was really bothering him, but to his credit, he never used it as an excuse. Ginobili misfires on the three. Baker, quick outlet. Hardaway, nice inside to Gugliotta, and a foul on Ginobili. So Gugliotta will shoot a couple of free throws. And we'll have another timeout. Crowd reacts. Just over 7.5 remaining in the second half. The United States a 21-point advantage.
Don't you worry, little guys. I'll find you a happy.
7 minutes, 37 seconds away from qualifying for the 2000 Olympics. I'm with the NBA Senior Vice President and the Chairman of the USA Selection Committee, Rod Thorne. First of all, with so many talented players in the league, how were these guys chosen?
Well, Craig, we have a committee that meets periodically and selects players. We have a 10-person committee, and they are responsible for selecting the players on this team.
Doug Collins was complimenting you guys not only on the talent of these players, but the way they represent the United States. These 9 players from the NBA are guaranteed spots in the 2000. How will the other 3 guys be chosen, and who are they?
Well, the committee will sit down, try to ascertain what we need to fill out our squad, and then choose accordingly. Right now, I couldn't tell you what we need, but once this is over, we sit down and figure out what we need. Then when we have our next meeting, we'll select the final 3 players.
Is Grant Hill guaranteed a spot on the team?
No one is guaranteed a spot at this time.
Were you at all worried today when the U.S. was down by 7 in the first half?
Yes, very worried.
You can relax now, though. Let's go back to Mike and Doug.
He's a former coach. He's going to worry. You know that.
He looks relaxed. No tie, no jacket. As USA has had a lot of their people down here supporting. And the second game of the semifinal is Puerto Rico and Canada. 2 very fine teams. One of them will not go to the Olympics as the foul is drawn that time by Hugo Sconacini. Argentina's, they're a good young team, and it's a shame that they're not going to get a chance to go and play in Sydney next year.
And you know what? I really agree with the coaches here that, the United States being the past Olympic champion, even with the lockout last year, shouldn't have had to qualify for this because one of these teams is going to be prevented from getting there. They deserve to be there. And, Canada, had they had Rick Fox and Bill Winnington, I think would have been really a strong favorite. Now they've got to beat Puerto Rico here on their home court in the game after this. That's going to be a tough game for them.
A third free throw on the three-point attempt while being fouled by Hugo Sconacini.
Mike, that's why everybody was fighting for those 2 and 3 spots. 4 put you against the United States. Right. You know you have no chance, so you got to get to 2 or 3. And really, Argentina was 1 basket away in the Canada and Puerto Rico game, or they would have been 3. That's how their whole fate was changed because it goes point differential when you have a tiebreaker.
All 3 teams 6 and 2 in the tournament. As Hardaway misfires again, Argentina, they were 1 and 2 at one point. They got blown out by the U.S. last Saturday by 31. They're 1 and 2 and in danger of not even making it to the semifinals, and they reel off 5 in a row with this young squad. Nocioni against Gugliotta. Good defense from Gugliotta. Baker the rebound. Baker has 8 boards. Vin Baker, as we mentioned, has struggled. Has been a force inside as Gugliotta gets a nice pass.
Well, Nocioni tried to take the little flop there as Gugliotta bumped him, but not enough to draw the foul. And it's good to see Googs out there playing. I could tell he was discouraged the other night. He came over here to play and compete, and really this has been a tough experience for him.
Payton deflects it out of bounds. Gugliotta, who's played for 4 NBA teams and his 7 seasons in the league, now seems to have a nice place playing with Jason Kidd. Boy, he's a fun guy to play with.
Oh, I would love to play with Jason Kidd. He's one of those guys who does everything for you except shoot it. He rebounds it, he pushes it, and if you run along, he'll get you open shots. And if you can shoot the ball, he will get you the shots.
Sconacini misses again. Approaching 6 minutes remaining here in the semifinals. United States pulling away slowly here in the second half. Foul call inside as Gugliotta tried to pass it out. That's for Europe, call for the personal, and we'll have another timeout. 6:01 remaining. Jason Kidd and his team can coast down the stretch. They've wrapped up at least a berth, but they still have a championship game tomorrow against the winner of Cuba, Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico and Canada, that is. But he's still coaching away. His 26th year as a coach. He also was a player and has some Olympic history. Back in 1964, Brown was a member of the gold medal team that won the gold in Tokyo. And there he is.
Hasn't changed a bit, has he?
Averaged 4 points per game on that team. At the likes of Bill Bradley and Walt Hazzard, Jeff Mullins.
It's interesting. Everybody talks about Larry Brown, how tough he is on point guards. Larry Brown was a point guard. He recognizes the importance of that leader, that extension on the floor of the coach. That's his point guard. And I tell you, he's done a magnificent job through his career. Every place he's been, he's built a winner. Look what he's doing in Philly now.
Coming off an Eastern Conference semifinal appearance for the Sixers. Nociano misses. Of course, at the college level, now on the pro level, and this is his third opportunity, Brown, that is, coaching a USA basketball or being part of a USA coaching basketball staff.
He has tremendous respect for the game and for United States basketball. And although this is, 3 weeks or so out of his summer schedule, he wouldn't miss this for anything. And I know he doesn't want to be coaching in place of Rudy T, but I do know that this has been a wonderful experience. We see he and his wife and his children walking around here. And I saw him this morning at 8:30, and he asked me if I wanted to go for a walk. And I said, Larry, I'm not nervous. You're nervous, you coach. I'm going to have breakfast.
Yeah, he really was nervous.
He was nervous.
26-point advantage, just over 5.5 to play. Asperua against Vin Baker. Baker all over him. Nice feed inside. Ginobili won't go down. And that has happened throughout much of the game. The first couple of minutes, those shots were falling for Argentina. Since then, they can find it difficult to get an open look. Baker stripped. Ginobili quickly the other way. There's an open shot. A three-pointer for Facundo Sukatsky. Has hardly played at all in this tournament. In fact, the only time he really got minutes was in the first blowout against the Americans. He's the one guy that likes to face the Americans because he's guaranteed some playing time. Under 5 minutes remaining. Payton on the leader. Baker deflects it out of bounds, and it's Argentina ball. Again, they'll play the championship game tomorrow as Elton Brand, Duke All-America, and first overall pick of the Chicago Bulls.
A lot of pressure on Elton Brand as we take a look going into Chicago, trying to help rebuild the Chicago Bulls, that proud championship tradition that Michael Jordan created, he and Scottie Pippen through the years.
Nocioni. Asperua putting it in. 78-57. Just under 4.5 to play in the second. Along with Doug Collins and Craig Sager. Mike Breen on hand here in San Juan, the Roberto Clemente Coliseum. Semifinals of the Olympic qualifying tournament of the Americas. Brand called for travel.
It's so hard when you sit there to come in and try to play. You keep yourself mentally in the game, as we see Wally Serbiak, but your body gets stiff. I don't care how young you are. You get in there and you try to get yourself going. It's very, very hard to play. Larry Brown knows that.
And again, these guys are not used to it. You're talking about All-Americas, top players in the nation. Payton, coast to coast for Payton, and a goaltend called.
Yeah, normally Elton Brand and Wally Serbiak are the guys who are being taken out right now as the other guys, the bench players, are coming in. So new role for these guys.
Well, they've had a few new roles. They've been the ones that have had to carry the bags and the balls. Ginobili misses the jam. It's a long ride between where the team is staying. Hardaway inside to Brand. Brand misfires. Good land on the follow-up. The team is staying about an hour away from this Coliseum, and it's a long bus ride for them. And every once in a while they have to pull over and get snacks. And you bet it's always one of the rookies who have to go in and buy the snacks.
Well, you know that. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Ball deflected again. Doesn't matter what the score is. Payton's still playing as hard as he did in the first minute.
Now, we probably won't see Richard Hamilton. Now, he sprained an ankle early in practice, has not really played, has not felt well over here, missed a game, missed some practices, and I don't think the tone that he set here has been a real positive one. I hope for the young man's sake, when he gets to Washington, he just signed his contract, that he'll get back into the swing of things, but I don't think that he's had a stellar 2 weeks here in San Juan, Mike.
Well, it's been very tough. The injury, everything snowballed after that as Hardaway misfires. Under 3 minutes remaining, and what is turning into another blowout victory for the United States. Palladino loses it, ball knocked loose. Brand jumps on the floor.
And you saw Steve Smith was watching that ball. He said, look, we're up 25. I'm not diving. Here comes Elton Brand on top looking for that loose ball. He said, I have to dive.
Nice move inside. Zukotsky. He's only played 11 minutes in the tournament. And again, most of them coming in the blowout loss to the United States. There's no question for some of these players. It's a huge thrill as Elton Brand puts it in. They're saying it's an honor to lose by 30. I mean, there was one instance earlier against Uruguay. Kevin Garnett, during a free throw, one of the players he's playing against asked him, can I take a picture with you after the game?
Mike, in '92, I was broadcasting a tournament at the time with the Tournament of the Americas in Portland. We're doing a game, and I forget which team it was. Magic Johnson was guarding a guy in the post. The guy had the ball, and he was telling his buddy on the bench to take a picture of him while he's posting with Magic Johnson guarding him.
Serbia won't go down. Another guy had told Garnett, it's an honor to have my shot blocked by you, Mr. Garnett.
But Ginobili's had a tough day. He just can't get one to go. Give him another one, 3 for a quarter here.
A sloppy finish down the stretch here as we approach under a minute and a half remaining. Steve Smith on the reverse side. And the United States sticks to business. Now their biggest lead. And as you mentioned earlier, Doug, first 5 games they dominated. Then they went through a little spot where they didn't play as well in the big game Thursday night against Puerto Rico. And they've just come out and taken care of business here to wrap up at least the automatic berth to the Sydney Olympics next year. Pass inside out of bounds. Our Coors Light leaders for the United States. Gary Payton leading in scoring, just under 16 a game. Tim Duncan just under 10 rebounds per game, and Jason Kidd just under 8 assists per game.
And we need to remind everybody also, the championship game tomorrow will be 8 Eastern on TNT. Hubie Brown will be here with Kevin Harlan, and if you want to get a feel of international basketball, nobody knows international basketball like Hubie Brown. This guy is an encyclopedia, so they will have the championship game tomorrow.
It'll be the winner of Puerto Rico, Canada. If it's Puerto Rico, this place will be packed as it was Thursday night. Alley-oop. Sione wanted it. As the final seconds ticking away, Elton Brand, the college star, is getting a chance to show a little bit. Shot clock is turned off. Argentina put up a good fight early, but Kevin Garnett and the United States once again dominant and running away. Another blowout victory. Final seconds. The United States have made it official. They have qualified for the Sydney Olympics next year in Australia. An 88-59 victory. And the applause from the crowd. Tim Duncan did not have to have one of his special games, but that's been the case with this team. It's just they share the wealth.
See, I think the one thing, when you're playing against the NBA players as an international player out of FIBA, the one thing you recognize is just how big a gap there is. How far do we have to go? How much better do we have to get? Sometimes when you're playing against the college players, you don't understand. When you play against the best, you know where you fit. And look at the great respect both teams have for each other as the game is over.
A 29-point win. Craig Sager standing by with the winning head coach.
Well, Coach, the championship game's tomorrow, but how relieved are you to officially have a spot and qualify for the Olympics?
Well, Rudy, get over here. Don't leave me sitting there by myself with Gene and Tubby. I want Rudy there. It was, I felt a lot of pressure personally because this is such an important game. I mean, we've never been faced with a situation like that. And, you know, to play 8 straight nights and have to win again just to qualify, I was a little concerned, but I'm thrilled to death for these guys. They've been wonderful to work with, and again, I really hope Rudy can get back quickly because he's going to love being around these guys.
Despite your accomplishments, did you have nightmares that you would be known as the coach who didn't qualify for the Olympics?
No, I didn't think that way. You know, this is a team game. We're all in this together, but they did everything I asked, and everything that any coach could want, they sacrificed for us. But you know, I just wanted something good to happen for all of them. And I want Rudy to have an opportunity to go to Australia and work with these guys because he deserves it.
You played in the '64 Olympics. You've led 9 teams, including Kansas, to an NCAA title. How big was this win for you?
Well, the Olympic movement is the greatest thing, and to have our players show the world the right way to play is what it's all about. I'm so appreciative of the fact that we came in here and played unselfishly and tried to defend and try to play the right way, and to continue to go to the Olympics and show that it's only going to help our game. And I'm a lifer, you know, so being part of this Olympic movement in any way is great for me.
It was a close first half. Were you at all worried or scared?
I'm always worried, but I knew we were defending well. They're really well coached. I'm going to invite that coach to training camp because they are really disciplined, run a lot of good stuff. And I admire that. They didn't come to lose, even though they might not have thought they had a chance. They try to win the game. Some of these games, I didn't think that was the case, so it was great.
Congratulations. Look forward to seeing the championship game tomorrow night. Let's go back now to Mike and Doug.
All right, Craig, we have a special guest, Kevin Garnett, with us after.
I'm going to hold him down here.
Making it official.
He doesn't start moving around here.
No, I'm all right now.
Now, we heard Larry Brown talking about being worried about various things. Coaches are paid to worry. You weren't worried, were you?
No, we're not worried. You got to understand that's a good team, and they're here for a reason. You know, other good teams make it to the semis, and we knew that coming in. You know, one thing Gary Payton always lets us know before the game, keep our composure, you know, stick together, play together, and we win the game.
You had in the game 11 points, 8 rebounds, but that means nothing to you or any of the players. Doug and I talked about it all game about the egos were checked at the door. This team plays as unselfish as you really can play.
You know, our first philosophy is together. You know, our whole thing is team, and you know, I've always looked at it as, you know, all dream teams are just that. You know, a great team, well coached, well put together, and you know, like you said, egos was checked at the door if there are any. We all understood that, you know, in order for us to win this whole thing, we have to be together, and we came out and done that so far.
You know, Kevin, even though sometimes the competition is not what you face on an everyday basis in the United States, still playing 9 games in 10 days, that takes its toll. I mean, being here the way you guys play, I mean, you have to feel a little tired.
I haven't played 9 games in 10 days, even in AAU back when I was in SC, you know, playing for my man Bull. I haven't played, you know, 9 games in a row at all. So, I mean, rest was very crucial, you know, Coach Brown really stressed us to, you know, really take care of ourselves and be ready to play. And so far we have. You know, we've been taking care of our bodies. We had a day off yesterday. You know, some guys kicked back. You know, other guys, you know, sort of, you know, got a little looser than that. But you know, so far so good. Everybody's taking care of their body. We're coming out doing what we're supposed to do. And that's all you can ask of us.
You know, Kevin, where did you get the tremendous respect you have for the history of this game? Being such a young guy, you've been in the league 4 years, but the one thing that I think that people see in you is a guy who loves to play, but more importantly has a tremendous respect for the guys who've played before him and given you the opportunities that you have today.
Well, I was taught from my uncles, you know, my family, my man Bab back in SC, who taught me the game of basketball, not for anything else but for recreation and for fun. I'm an emotional player. You know, Magic was always my favorite player. You know, I have a best friend named Bear who loves Magic like crazy. So he used to always teach me just to play with emotion and play with enthuse. You know, play with the passion and the love, and the rest take care of itself. You know, I've always, you know, looked at myself as a hard worker. I've always tried to set an example towards younger kids to go out and play hard. But don't play for anything else, just for recreation and fun. Other than that, you know, it's like icing on cake. The cake is already good without it.
Now, Kevin, we know that the 9 pros are going to be back for the Sydney in 2000. Any thoughts on who the 3 pros will be to take the young guy spots?
I'm not on that committee.
Come on, you're on the committee here. We're not going to let you bail out on us like this. I got a lot of
friends out there, so.
Me and who else you going to take? I need
Steph.
A gold medal here.
I got to take Steph.
All right.
You know, I don't know. Let me think about it.
You know, congratulations. You were terrific. You know,
thanks, man.
Terrific.
All right.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Kevin Garnett and the United States securing that Olympic berth next year in Sydney. They still have a game to go. That's tomorrow, the championship game against the winner of Puerto Rico, Canada. But they make it official here this afternoon here at the Roberto Clemente Coliseum. Another blowout victory for the United States. Garnett and all his friends doing the job. Let's send it over to Craig Sager again.
Well, the two players who set the tone for this team offensively and, of course, pressure defense, Jason Kidd and Gary Payton. You guys came in, 9th game in 10 days. How relieved are you to qualify for the Olympics?
Well, I think the pressure or the challenge that we're faced with for this week is over. We now are headed to Sydney, and I think we played pretty good basketball to get there.
We talked to you at halftime. You said you're tired playing all 20 minutes. Did you think it was going to be a tough game today?
Yeah, running around with all them guys. I'm running them guys through picks. Yeah, we knew it was going to be tough. We knew they was going to come out and make runs and make big shots. Me and Jason was just talking when they made that big shot over Kevin. We knew it was going to be one of them nights. We just had to wear them down, and they wore down, and then we got our lead.
You're the only holdover from the '96 Olympic Dream Team. Who will be added to this team in 2000? What does this team need, if anything?
Well, I think they need some more bigger guys. I think they're going to try to go with Shaq, the Grant Hills, them kind of guys. I mean, we can get some more bigger guys. I don't think we need any more guards. I think the guards are just fine with us. So I think they're going to try to go for more bigger guys.
You obviously can play the point. You can play the wing. How is it playing with Gary, and how do you guys work so well and so unselfishly together?
Well, I think growing up and playing against each other on the playgrounds in the Bay Area, and also going against one another in the NBA, we know our games, and all he has to do is get out. He has roller skates, even though he's getting a little bit older. 31 yesterday, he still is one of the quickest guys to get up and down the court, and we have fun doing it.
Well, happy birthday belatedly. What'd you do for your birthday?
Well, I just relaxed. I took the family out to old San Juan, did a little shopping. Just had one of them 31-year-old days.
How's your golf game?
Oh, my golf game is improving. I wish Charles. They need to bring Charles on the team.
If we bring Barkley up here, everybody can get their money. You know that, Charles. He'll get your money on you.
But we're having fun. This was a great week here in San Juan, and now we're looking forward to getting back home and preparing for the season.
88-59, the U.S. qualifying for the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. Ahmad Rashad will be back from the studios in New York in just a moment.
G13.